So this is the second video for the converting quadratics. So when we left, we had just completed 2 examples, and I would like to do 2 more examples with you on the last page of your flip chart. So I am going to turn to the last page now, and these are examples again. So this should be example number 3. So go back up here, example 3. So I'm going to give you y equals 2n squared plus 12n plus 3. Okay, so first thing I want you to do is identify what form this is in. So there are no parentheses, so hopefully that will trigger to you that we have no parentheses when we are in standard form. So this one right here is in standard form. All right, no parentheses, that means we're in standard form. So I think we should change to vertex form. So change to vertex form. All right, so in order to change to vertex form, if we use our flip chart here, so if we want vertex form, then we're going to start with standard form, which is what we have, and then we're going to complete the square almost. So I'm going to show you what that means, and then we're going to move the k back over. So starting with standard form we have. So what we're going to do next is complete the square almost. All right, so this again is where I'm going to kind of leave off, ignore this y equals for a little bit, and just work through the problem like I'm used to doing, and then once we get down to the answer, we'll throw that y back in there. All right, so if I wanted to complete the square on this problem, the first thing I'm going to do is move the 3 out of the way. So we'll have 2n squared plus 12n equals negative 3. All right, so I'm completing the square on a quadratic that has a leading term. So I'm going to yank that 2 out, and that will leave me n squared plus 6n plus blank equals negative 3 plus blank. So now we got to figure out what is that magic number. So remember what we're going to do is look here. Half of this number would be 3. 3 squared would be 9. So that gives me the magic number on the left side. But on the right side, I need to take into account that I would distribute that 2 to the 9. So on this side, we're going to have 18. So we will factor this down to be n plus 3 squared equals 15. And this is where we're going to stop, because we're not solving for n. We just wanted to get it into vertex form. And vertex form is once we have our factor squared, that gives us vertex form. So last thing that I need to do is move the k back over. So I'm going to bring this 15 back over to the side, so I will have 2n plus 3 squared minus 15, and now I have vertex form. So if you need to pause the video so that you can, whoops, sorry, didn't mean to put that in your way, absorb all that, please do. All right, so last example. So I am going to, let's do, all right, here we go, example 4. Let's start with this. X plus 3 and x plus 5. So the first thing I want you to do is to think about what form you're starting with. So think. We have 2 sets of parentheses. This means it's factored. So this is intercept form. And intercept form just means that our quadratic has been factored. So intercept form and factored form are basically the same thing if you want to think of it that way. All right, I think we should change to vertex form again. So let's change to vertex form. All right, so in order to change to vertex form, if we look at our flip chart, if we want vertex form, first we have to start with standard form. Well, we don't have standard form, we have intercept form. So let's go back and look at how can we get standard form. So in order to get standard form, we need to FOIL, distribute, and then combine like terms. Well, on here, all we have to do is FOIL. So first thing, in order to change to vertex form, we have to start with standard form. So what we need to do here is change this into standard form. So to do that, all we have to do is FOIL. So if we FOIL this, we'll get x squared plus 8x plus 15. All right, so now we have standard form. So if we look again at our directions to get vertex form, start with standard form. Well, now we have standard form. So we're going to complete the square almost. So that's just like our last example. So I'm going to ignore this y equals for a few minutes, and I'm going to complete the square on this. So first thing we need to do is get that 15 to the other side. So that's going to be x squared plus 8x equals negative 15. All right, we do not have a leading coefficient, so we can just go ahead and fill in the blank. Negative 15 plus blank. Almost ran out of space there. All right, so we need to think of the magic number. So we're going to look right here. We're going to take half of this number, which would be 4, and squared would be 16. And then since we don't have a leading coefficient, we know that our equation will be balanced by adding 16 to the other side. So on the left, we can go ahead. This becomes x plus 4 squared. That equals 1. All right, this is where we're going to stop because we're not solving for x. We're just trying to write it in vertex form. And when we get vertex form, we have this binomial squared. So the last thing that we need to do is move this back over, which is our k value. So that would be x plus 4 squared minus 1, and that is vertex form. So you're done. So remember, on any of these videos, if you need to replay the video to hear me explain it again or to just see the example worked out again, please do. There's nothing wrong with it, and that's how you're supposed to be learning with the videos anyhow. But once you feel comfortable with this, then you can go ahead and pick up your assignment.